Blog Talk Radio.
Winston-Salem, it's Sunday Night Dead.
play with us? Wanna play with us? Wanna play with us?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Night Dead. I'm Matthew Slozer from Autumn Paranormal here in beautiful Winston-Salem, North Carolina, or since we are now going by these official titles, I should say the Certified Paranormal Genius with a PhD in Excellence from the Paranormal Pantheon. So, hope you all had a great weekend. Thank you so much for wrapping it up with me here tonight. We have a great show. After Dark Investigators is on with us tonight. And I have to say, anyone who's listened to this show for a while or has heard me on other dead air shows knows that I kind of have an affinity for the hospitals and asylums. Those are my favorite locations to check out. And this is one group. I've shared a number of their photo albums in the last couple days, but this is one group that has been to a number of asylums. There's some really great ones in the whole general New York metro area, and it looks like they've been in a number of them. And they are actually, when we bring them on in a little bit, they're actually talking to us from a one of those locations. So I'll leave it undisclosed for them, but they are calling us from a morgue. So should be a great show. Definitely feeling more and more like fall here in North Carolina, getting darker earlier, getting cooler. Football's on, loving that. The college team I like 3-0. The pro team that I like is 2-0, even though it's been kind of an ugly 2 wins. It's the Eagles, and they've won 2 games by 2 points, but total. But we'll take it. A win's a win. My tech assistant here, Vincent, who I believe is talking to me again now. I kind of ticked off Vincent with my fashion comments last week, but Vincent, buddy, you into football or not so much?
Yes, I'm a big football fan. Raiders are my team, and that's been pretty painful the last couple of years, but at least, we set the expectations pretty low heading into the season. We don't expect them to do very well, so it's not as painful as it must be for you, Matt, liking a team that is expected to do well and chokes year in, year out. So my condolences to you, Matt, and it looks like you're in for another tough year, so hang in there, man. As far as our guests, I'm very much looking forward to this show as well. I know, Matt, you love asylums, and working with you, I understand why, but very, very interesting to see the different facilities and places that this team, After Dark Investigators, has checked out. So I'm really curious to hear their experiences there, as well as kind of just general thoughts on the whole urban exploration in general. So should be a really interesting show, Matt.
All right, well, we'll see at the end of the year. I have a feeling the Eagles will do better than the Raiders no matter what. And, buddy, I don't know if they make a treadmill big enough for you to get on, but you're sounding kind of winded there and stuff, so I hope, I think you need to hit the treadmill a little more there, Vincent. Again, no offense intended. Let me bring on my co-host, who has earned the title of the Certified Hardest Working Paranormal Expert with a PhD in Insightfulness, Mr. Ken Saminsky.
I also have a minor in tomfoolery.
Eventually I'm going to get, I have these, eventually I'm going to get all these titles all mixed up and things on with everybody, but that's the one problem with giving everybody these titles that have like 8 or 9 words to them. Anyone who is new to the show, just so you know what the deal is with the title thing, is we were talking about paradrama. We talk about that a fair amount a while back, and we were talking about how some people just absolutely flip out over words that other people use on things, which, again, at the end of the day, my theory is, I might even agree with some of the groups that are pitching the fit, but at the end of the day, how does it affect the work you're doing? And if it doesn't, don't waste your time. Don't get knocked off the game because it's something somebody else is doing. So I decided a couple of weeks ago that we were going to all give ourselves official titles, and they're very kind of odd and pompous and kind of vague, but I figured just do it just to have fun. That's part of what this show's about, is not to take things too seriously, even though we certainly want to share what everybody's doing out there and take that part seriously, but we also want to have fun as well. So how are things going, Ken?
They're going good. Portal met today, and last week we were fortunate enough to travel to Gettysburg and to Hagerstown, Maryland. We did some daytime EVP work in Gettysburg and in Antietam Battlefield. And if you've never been there, Gettysburg's very busy. There's a lot of contamination. We did manage to pull a few things out, but it's tough, because our theory is when in doubt, you throw it out. Antietam, by contrast, is one of the most peaceful, serene places. It's hard to imagine that tomorrow, 150 years ago tomorrow, the bloodiest single day in American history occurred there, with the casualties of all Americans, both North and South, amounted to 23,000. And we did do fairly well there, even with the short sessions that we did on the battlefield. We did get quite a few EVPs. Then we teamed up for both of those, as well as a Saturday night investigation at the Hagerstown Masonic Temple with the Antietam Paranormal Society. And we had one heck of a night. They had a major thunderstorm during the day, which we feel helped things out Saturday evening. And we investigated from about 11 or so till about 6 in the morning. And I saw things there that I have not seen in 10 years of investigating. I mean, with my own eyes. I mean, I've always walked up on doors that I know I closed, or windows I know I closed, and they're open, but I never saw it actually happen. I saw that happen.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there were 3 of us in the room that saw it happen. And sadly, the camera was next to the door that was opening by itself, and it was pointing the wrong damn way. But you could hear us all on the tape go, So, but it was very, very active. A lot of footsteps, a lot of disembodied voices. Lots and lots of activity out of that place. It was incredible.
Oh, wow. So awesome. Awesome. Okay, now how far from Michigan? Where is? I drive through, going back and forth. I'm originally from north of Philadelphia in the Lehigh Valley area, and so when I go back and forth to visit family and things, I drive through Hagerstown. But how far away is it from where you're at in Michigan?
Well, we went from Michigan to Gettysburg in just under 8 hours. It's probably about 7 hours, actually. And that seemed like it just because we're all very talkative, and so, it went quickly. It seemed to. And then Hagerstown from Gettysburg is about an hour or so. The way that Jeremy told me to take through the mountains, which I did. And then coming home, we finished investigating at 6. We did a little bit of a APS tradition and stopped in at the Waffle House for breakfast at between 6 and 7. And we went back to the hotel. We did not sleep. We just packed our stuff. We kind of freshened up a little bit, and we hit the road, and we were home at, I don't know, like 3 or... No, actually it was maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, somewhere in there, I think. So it was about, 6-7 hour drive home. So not too far, really, when you think about it. And I got to tell you, for the amount of cool stuff that went on Saturday night, it was totally worth the drive and the cost, getting gas, totally.
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely, it's funny. I've been close. Well, I've been to Gettysburg, but I've never, had anything, like a recorder or anything going on there. And I've obviously driven past the Antietam area, so it's definitely a spot that I definitely want to check out as well. Really quick, for everyone out there, anyone who would like to call in, we would with a question, we would love to hear from you tonight. Our number is area code 646-929-2384. And as always, in the chat room, you can go ahead and type in your question, and we will relay those on to Ken, myself, or our guests, who I'd like to introduce right now. This is a team out of New York, and again, they've checked out a lot of places that I'm really intrigued by, because I love the whole asylum and hospital things. So I'd like to bring on Tommy, Athena, and Andrew from After Dark Investigators. How y'all doing this evening?
Hey, what's going on?
I didn't want to reveal your location, but I just want to go first. So you are actually speaking to us from a morgue right now?
Yes, Letchworth Village.
Okay. So if we get any, so there's three of you there, so if we get any fourth voices chiming in, that's somebody that doesn't belong, correct?
Yes, special guest.
Awesome. Well, I got to say again, I've been checking out the albums and some of the things on your site, and I have for a long time been following the site Opacity, where that guy goes in and takes different pictures.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
Different buildings and different locations, and there's been a number of them in New York, or the general New York area, that I'd be like, oh wow, that would be really cool to check out. That would be cool to check out. And then I pull up your site, and you've been to like 4 or 5 of them, it looks like. So I guess just the basic things starting off. How did everybody get involved? How did you all get involved in doing this?
Well, for me is my mom had passed away in 2007, so I kind of wanted to, understand, if there really is life, when you die. So I kind of got me into the field of the paranormal, life after death. So it was a hard time for me, but I'm still out here in the field trying to see if it really is, So, and what about you, babe?
Me, this is Andrew. Got into the field basically watching TV. It really intrigued me, and I'm planning to go to film school for it and do a couple of documentaries. It really interests me, and over the past 2 years I've been doing it. I got a lot of good stuff that has pretty much proved that life after death is real. So.
Oh, awesome.
And for me, I've always been pretty much a very morbid person. I grew up watching a lot of horror movies, and I've always been, obsessed with cemeteries and ghosts and all that stuff. And it just, I got more intrigued as I got older. As a teenager, we always went in looking for ghosts in abandoned buildings and local abandoned hospitals and stuff like that. I also saw a full-bodied apparition standing at my bed when I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old. So as I got older, I just developed like a very strong love for the paranormal. And when I met Tommy, he's also my fiance. Our third date was Halloween night. We actually spent it roaming around a haunted hospital in Staten Island. And Here we are now.
Talk about a nice third date, right?
Well, we couldn't get, my wife and I, we couldn't get married on Halloween just because of the timing. We didn't want to wait, another 7 years and stuff. So our anniversary is October 30th. So I'm kind of in the same category in that I've always liked the horror movies and all that kind of stuff. I have to ask Athena though, because I've had similar experiences. So was that only a one-time thing, seeing somebody at the foot of your bed, or has that happened other times?
Actually only happened one time. Yeah, it was a full-bodied apparition. I was laying in bed, and the way the bedroom was set up, there was a dresser at the foot of the bed. So I was laying there, the light was on, and it seemed like he was crouched down, stood up, looked at me, and then just like ducked back down and disappeared. But also a lot of like strange things went on in that house that I grew up in, and my mother would hear a child's voice all the time. And one night she was home alone, and she heard a little girl scream into her ear, "Mommy!" And, I mean, weird things always went on there, but that was the only full-bodied apparition that I've ever saw.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've and people that listen all the time have heard this before, but and I don't know whether it's a kind of like a dreaming thing or not, but it happens about twice a year where I'll wake up and it's not like I'm having a nightmare, I'm not startled or anything like that. I'll just happen to wake up and there's somebody standing in the room, and then they generally disappear within like 10 seconds. But I really thought it was dreams until about the second time. I think it was the second time I went to Trans-Allegheny. I went with a box of Cracker Jack because Lily supposedly likes Cracker Jack, and I recorded a little girl's voice several times. Well, the week after that investigation, there was 3 different occasions where I woke up, same kind of situation, and it was the same girl at the foot of the bed. So it was just kind of a weird thing. So now I kind of wonder if there's anything to it or not. So since you had a similar experience, I was just curious there.
You've seen our photos, right? I actually caught a full body apparition in the building that we are at now with the night vision camera. It's a full body from his feet all the way up to his head.
It even looks like he's wearing shoes.
And a hat.
Which is told here, the story in Letchworth is of a 7-foot man that likes to roam these hallways. So is it him we caught on camera? I mean, we don't know, but the evidence that we did catch is unbelievable.
Also, we were using the spirit box in the dentist's office here, and Andrew was asking, what were you asking when he said ankle?
I was asking, somebody asked if they got put here because they bit somebody. And I said, I asked the ghost, I know you're not really supposed to antagonize, but I did ask if he would come or she would come and bite me. And I said, if you did bite me, where would it be? And the spirit box came through and said, your ankle. So that was.
And it was a very deep, angry voice of a male. So.
Now, did they? I want to get a little bit into the history here, but there's I know John Coghill's on out there, and I'm not sure if there's anyone else associated with Penhurst out there, but I believe there's a very similar history between Letchworth Village and Penhurst, which is outside of Philly. So I was just curious, was there the stories there of after a certain amount of biting incidents, did they extract all the teeth?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We found out that if they bit more than 2 times, their teeth were all pulled out.
And that's not the only bad surgery. They used to do lobotomies here. They used to use the same feeding spoon, the same medicine spoon on like 80 different patients. The patients were very mistreated here.
The living conditions were terrible. Like, I mean, in the middle of the hallways, rocking back and forth. Their bodies like tore up. They looked like pretzels.
I mean, you could feel the energy as soon as you walk in here. It's unbelievable.
Every time you leave, it's just you feel a weight.
Weight lifted off your chest. I mean, right now as we speak, as we stand here inside the morgue in Letchworth Village,
Tell them what happened to you.
My chest is a little bit heavy
Tell them
right
what
now.
happened to you the first time we came.
And
here.
the first time that we came here, I got possessed. I got possessed, and something really demonic came inside of me.
It lasted for maybe 20 to 30 seconds. He just became very, very angry, and he started cursing and yelling and just like a complete lunatic. And right before it had happened, we had an ex-teammate that was with us, and he spotted a light go right into Tommy's back. And right after that had happened is when Tommy just became very, very, very angry and pissed off at something. And just like as it came, it went, and he was fine maybe 20 seconds later.
That's the pain and the suffering that happened in this place. Just feeling that for 30 seconds. Just imagine what they felt here. Their whole lives. It's terrible.
Now I'm trying to remember. Is this? I think this is the location. I'm not getting mixed up. Was that the place where when they were testing? I think it was the polio vaccine. They were administering it to children unwittingly there. Yes. Okay.
That was here.
So, I mean, again, for all the listeners out there know, so one of the things going on in this place is they were basically doing medical testing on the individuals here, and after dark I'll be able to give more better info than I will on this. But just a quick overview is this is, and please jump in and correct me if I get any of this wrong, but basically it started out as a home for MR or kind of disabled. I guess we would call it the home for the feeble-minded at the time. Very similar to the Penhurst history, if anyone's familiar with that. And then, can you kind of fill us in a little bit more about that? Because I'm sure you know more about the background than I do on this.
Well, basically, they housed a lot of mentally handicapped people and a lot of epileptic people. Those are the main two forms of disabilities that came to this hospital. And they used to just basically try out surgeries, to see if it worked. Back then, it really didn't matter. There was no legal document saying that they couldn't do these surgeries to these people. So they basically used them as guinea pigs and try to figure out how to fix epilepsy and, mentally handicapped people. And meanwhile, a lot of them died. They screwed them up worse than they came, and they just mistreated them. They used to pack them in rooms together.
It was very understaffed here. They didn't have enough people to care for the patients. They would lay naked in the hallways, covered in their own feces. They would take their brains out after they had died and keep them in jars for years after. The brains were actually left in the lab here for, I think, 3 or 4 years after the place had closed.
And it closed, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure late 80s, early 90s. It wasn't even like that, that long ago. I can't believe that it took that long.
96.
Yeah, I think the year was 1996.
I mean, the cemetery is also maybe like a half a mile away from here, and you could just feel like it's just so sad when you walk in there. And all they have is just like a steel marker with a number on it, and that's it.
They don't even have names on the tombstones. All they have is numbers. They're basically there by numbers. You wouldn't know anybody, there. And if they were Jewish, they have their little Jewish star on the tombstone, and that's it.
People back then were like very ashamed to have anybody in these kinds of places.
Exactly.
So they didn't want to put a disgrace on the family name, so all they got was just a number, and that was it, left forgotten about.
Oh, wow. Well, I have
a monument there and a memorial with all the patients' names on it. That was just put there recently, I believe.
Oh, wow. I want to quick flip this over to my co-host, Ken. I know I got a million questions here, so I'm sorry for going a little long on that end. But, Ken, say hi to Tommy, Athena, and Andrew.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Ken Smith
Hi,
from Portal. Good. Hey, I got a question. I got a slew of questions based on everything you're telling us. First question is, I think it was Tommy that you had the for lack of a better term, possession incident. Was that at where you're at now, or is that at another location?
No, that's actually right where I'm standing right now.
Yeah, he's actually standing in the same spot that it happened.
Gotcha. So when that happened, did you feel it coming on? I mean, could you tell that something was? I mean, do you remember the incident, or did you kind of black out?
It happened so fast, and it was. I just, like I said, I felt really, really angry. I honestly feel like I could have killed somebody. Like the anger that just lit up inside of me. It was, like I said, it was gone in about 30 seconds. It was it just came on immediately, and when it ended immediately. Like something passed through you, so to speak. Yes, exactly. Gotcha. And Athena and Andrew, when that happened, and you noticed it, were you within arm's reach? And I mean, were you like, oh boy, better back up a few steps, or did you realize what was happening?
Sitting on the slab in the morgue, and I mean, he started yelling and cursing directly towards me, at me.
And you were dude.
Yeah. After that, he yelled, he cursed at me, threatened me, and then, 20 seconds later, 30 seconds later, it was over, and he was a little dizzy, but after that, he was fine.
What about you?
I wasn't even a part of the team yet, thank God. I wasn't here for that one, because I would have ran out screaming and went home.
So afterwards, did you realize, oh my gosh?
Yeah. There's actually a really cold breeze that just came through here right now as we speak.
And it's not coming from outside because we've been in here for at least a half hour, and there hasn't been any breeze.
Our millimeter is actually showing a 5-degree drop right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a very cold breeze that's passing right through us. We're standing in a circle right now right in front of the morgue, and we're getting a very cold gust of wind coming through us. And
it's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to how long ago was that incident?
Last winter, I believe.
Okay, so it's been a little bit of a time. And did you happen to? I mean, you're concerned for your friend because something's obviously happening for him. But did any of the gear right near you? Did any of it start going off? Did anything register or something where you actually got a a reading
up to red,
on?
actually.
Gotcha. Cool. And then when so obviously you're probably torn between running to help your friend and then going, well, wait a minute, this isn't my friend, this is somebody else. What was your thought? Were you thinking to yourself, I better think of a second way out of this room? Because you had no idea. You had no idea how long it was going to last, right?
I was just actually in shock when it had happened. I wasn't expecting it. It came so fast, and he just went from being fine 1 second, and our ex-teammate was like, oh, I saw like a light go towards him. And after he had said that, I just noticed his attitude and his personality just changed like drastically. And, I mean, he just yelled at me. He cursed at me. I was trying to figure out what was the matter. I noticed the K2 had spiked up. And, I mean, it was gone. 1, 2, 3. It was just over with. Fine.
You know,
it's amazing.
Feel my pain, what I felt all these years here. And just for 30 seconds. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Hey, can you imagine how much pain is there? You're just left there and forgotten about. No family, no friends. You're just left there to basically rot until you die. I mean, it's astounding how people could do that.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Do you guys ever use a particular piece of equipment more so when you're at a location like that than another? I mean, when you know there's that particular kind of activity?
Most of what we use is the K2 meter and PSB7 spirit box, which we got some intelligent feedback.
Yeah, I just used the PSB7 for the first time last weekend. It was actually APS's, and wow, what a difference that one is compared to some of the others. It is amazing. Portal is going to be buying one soon.
Yeah, it's an amazing equipment.
Yeah, it's awesome. Let's see, what else? Now, do you guys have several different kind of spirit boxes, or do you guys rely on that particular one? And if you do use more than one, what's your favorite?
Well, the one that we do have, we have a couple of them, which is the PSB7 box.
Gotcha.
So that's what we use.
I've never caught in anything better than on that, besides like maybe just a regular EVP, but it's just so much better. You could hear it in real time. I know a lot of people say that, radio frequency, messes with it and stuff, but when you're in an abandoned building like this in the middle of the woods, there is no radio frequency. And if you're sweeping backwards, anything that does come through from the radio will not make sense. It's gibberish.
Yeah. Especially when you ask like direct questions that have to do with your location. Like there's no way that could be, a radio frequency coming in.
Well, that's one of the cool things that George does is he asks for verification sentences. He'll ask for a word or a series of words specifically that you wouldn't normally, run into, and you ask, if you're here, can you say this word, lollipop, or, whatever, three times? And, when you go for specific words, the odds of that happening randomly have got to go up into the 6, 8 figure, 8-digit figures. It's got to.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. Every time I come into this building, especially on the top floor, particularly, I'm pretty sure there's a woman living up there. You could even see on Ghost Adventures, Nick saw a woman's apparition up there. Every time I go up there, I make contact with the same woman, and I always ask her to say something. The first time was hello. She said hello. She said my name. I counted to 3. Something on the EVP said 4, and then she said 5. Like, they're very intelligent in this building, and yeah, you say something. If you ask them to say something, most likely they will.
And we always get like class EVPs here all the time. I don't know if you listen to our EVPs that I had posted on YouTube, but I mean they're class A. Like.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to add too that 4-1, the 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe that is on one of the links that I posted in the chat room. So if anyone's in the chat, especially now as it's run for a while, if you scroll back up to the top, I have After Dark's Facebook page, their YouTube page, and a bunch of other links from some of the audio files that they've had on there. So
yeah, definitely. I've gotten a lot of EVPs throughout the years, but that's definitely worth a look. You know,
I
I'm
mean,
not
we
just
caught
trying
one
to be cocky.
our last visit here. We actually caught one that was like clear as day.
Yeah.
We were walking in, I think it was this building, right, upstairs, and on the EVP I had caught, does he know you're in the fire?
Yeah.
And it was clearly none of us. Like, we tried to debunk this like time after time after time, and it was amazing.
Yeah. What had happened was my friend was feeling weird, not one of the teammates. He was feeling weird. He asked Athena to take a picture down a hallway, and as soon as she takes the picture, a voice comes on the EVP and says, "Does he know you're in the fire?" And at the end of the hallway that we were in, there was a fire at the end of the hallway in the room, and nobody else knew that. This is Andrew talking. I've been here about 40 times throughout my career, and they didn't know. You know, nobody we were with knew that there was a fire. So even if it was somebody whispering it, it wouldn't make sense.
And right before it had happened, we were standing and, like, remember, we just got, like, this crazy cold gust of wind that, like, just circled each and every one of us and then just passed. And right after that is when we had caught the EVP. Of course, at the time, we didn't know we caught the EVP. When I was uploading them onto the website and everything, that's when I noticed that we had caught it.
Again, that's why the spirit box is unbelievable, because you could hear it real time. I wish we had that real time, because we could have tried to make more contact with it.
That's the one thing I just want to kind of throw out here, and hopefully it happens for you. I've noticed this, and I know some of the other teams that I've investigated with, John and Katie, a couple months ago at Pennhurst, this happened, where just the discussion and just being here talking, not even trying to converse with an entity, but just talking about something that they're related to, like talking about this location and the things that went on there. Sometimes that triggers something. So it would be really cool. Certainly let us know. We'll come back and we'll play it on here. If you pick up anything on your recorders, anybody else chiming in on our discussion here, or if anything happens while you're there talking, please don't hesitate to just jump in, interrupt, and say the temperature drop, or if you start hearing banging somewhere, or anything along those lines. So kind of curious about this. I mean, you've been in a lot of really cool places that I would like to talk about, but I'm just curious I'm going to go to each of you here. What location up to this point, and I guess location within the location, have you felt the most uncomfortable? And I don't know, maybe it was the incident in the morgue you were just talking about, but let's start off with Tommy on that. But I mean, where have you felt the most uncomfortable in all your travels?
Well, for me, it has to be where I am now in Letchworth. Just pulling up on the side of this building, I just start feeling that pain and the suffering here. And like I said, what happened to me here inside this morgue, this, hands down, is the spot. It's a terrible thing that happened here. That's why we come back, all the time, because you will catch things here. You will get good evidence here. It's just an unbelievable spot. It's a sad thing that happened here, but this definitely is the spot for me, Letchworth Village.
How about you, Athena?
For me, it's definitely Letchworth Village as well. I mean, we've been to other places. We've been to Overbrook out in northern New Jersey, which is also a lot of bad energy there that we've witnessed, but nothing compares to the stuff that we've caught here. I mean, it's definitely Letchworth. Like, you feel it as soon as you pull up. Like, we were parked outside waiting for Andrew to come, and you could just, even looking at the building, you could just feel like the negative energy coming off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel something right now as we're talking right now.
Yeah, like we constantly have to look over our shoulders here, because it's just like
it just somebody's watching.
Like there's always eyes on you. Like somebody's constantly watching.
Question from Katie in the chat: is Overbrook still around? Is that still standing?
Overbrook is still around, but as you know, it is trespassing, and we don't in any way promote trespassing. But I mean, we do a lot of urban exploration as well with these places, and just like Letchworth, it's trespassing as well. But it's still around, but I wouldn't suggest anybody go there, because it's just covered in cops. So, but it is there.
Okay. Along those lines, anything? I mean, I've talked about this a lot, that in locations that I go, particularly larger locations, a lot of times I'm more concerned with physical threats than anything that could happen, kind of spiritually there. So whether it's, some homeless person living in the same location or, somebody using the same area for some not very nice purposes or even structural issues, falling to a floor.
Same risk, yeah.
Luckily,
same risk as cops.
Luckily, we haven't ran into any kind of bad situations since we've been doing this. So.
When I first started, honestly, I used to bring a BB gun, a CO2 BB gun, just in case we ran into any of that. But I've been doing it for 2 years, and that hasn't happened. I mean, you pick a spot, and you got to take that risk.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky. We haven't run into anything, negative here, except for our friends here.
Plus, they got me here. They're okay.
Yeah. Tommy's a big guy.
Well, I was in, this was just recently, this was just in May when I was at South Pittsburgh. We were in the basement, and we heard, it was in the first, we did a 48-hour there, and it was like in the first hour after we started investigating. We're down in the basement, and I heard 2 different occasions what sounded like a dog, and a very large dog down in the basement. And, I wasn't thinking paranormal at this point, and the location does have caretakers to it, so, it would be unlikely that something was in there. But when you're in the middle of, kind of a area that's not very well traveled, and you're hearing that, that's the first thing. I wasn't thinking about, oh wow, ghost dog or something like that. I was afraid I was going to end up running into some stray dog down in the basement.
It's funny you mentioned that. Actually, we went to a location not too long ago near Orange, New York. It's a Harlem Valley Hospital, psychiatric hospital, and there's, if you read about it online, there's supposedly a dog you could hear in downstairs near the morgue. We actually have pictures and a video from it. We didn't hear the dog, but it is said that you hear it, so I'm not really sure.
Actually, what we caught there was pretty amazing because just when we were about to end the night, thinking, there was no kind of paranormal activity going on, Tommy and Andrew were asking their questions, and, we had our stuff set up on the slab, and I was recording, and just when we were about to end the recording, you clearly see a light abnormality coming out of, the middle morgue drawer, and you just see it manifest from nothing into a bright ball of light and then just disappear. It was absolutely amazing. And, it's on our YouTube channel if anybody wants to check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Okay, I saw that. Okay, so that's the place in Orange, then. Did I just lose you?
No, we're here.
Okay. Your voice got real faded away. I was afraid I lost the signal there. So
might have been a ghost.
Well, it'd be cool if we got something, a really loud bang, which I was talking, kind of sidetracking here. I was trying to pull it together for this show, and I haven't been able to pull it together yet, but we were talking last week about kind of being surprised and dude run moments, and I've never had a dude run moment, but I've noticed that if I'm ever caught off guard, if something surprises me, I always say the same thing, and that's holy shit. And so I was trying to get a montage of all and it's usually bangs. It's usually bangs that get me.
Yep.
So this whole, I was going to try to link them all together, the holy shit montage, which I'm still working on, so I'll get that in a future episode here.
Right before we called into the show, we're like, damn, are we allowed to curse? Can we say shit? Can we say it so much when we're on investigations? It's just crazy.
Yeah, the answer is yes. We try not to throw it around a whole lot, and I was actually going to, which I didn't do right here, I was going to actually let people know ahead of time what I was going to play out on it, but it's funny. It's the very same reaction on all these, so it's kind of funny. Now, I have to ask about, because one of the ones that I definitely saw from the opacity site that I was very intrigued about, that I saw you were at, or at least I think you had pictures inside of this one, was the Kings Park. I believe that's on Long Island. So that, there's certain ones, and I don't know whether it's right or not, but there's certain ones that you just pull up pictures of places and it just looks creepy. Either locations within an area or just certain buildings that there's just something about it. And I gotta just say, for me personally, that is one that just looks like
it's
really
huge.
uncomfortable.
It's gigantic.
Oh man, just the building, the main building, it's bigger than Letchworth. All the buildings put together, it's unbelievable.
Now, did I understand right that they're knocking that one down?
They already demolished 2 buildings, unfortunately.
That's going on. That's what they're doing at Harlem Valley. I think Overbrook too. Slowly they're all going to be taken down. Hopefully not Letchworth. This is like my second home over here.
Practically got beds.
Well, that's the thing, really. And I'm hoping, as more places get rehabbed, and we have the what's going on at Trans-Allegheny and Rolling Hills Asylum and South Pittsburgh, as more of those hopefully are successful in what they're doing in restoring, I hope there's going to be some more locations that get to be saved. But really, it's a bad thing for everyone economically, but the one thing, development was going crazy 10 years ago. If we would have kept going at that rate, most of these places probably would have been gone already. So hopefully there's some location that is able to get saved and maintained by slowing this down. I know we were talking a couple weeks ago about Byberry, which was a big one in Philadelphia, and would have been a very cool one to check out, although that was notorious for having all kinds of gangs and all kinds of stuff going on inside of it. So, again, the physical dangers were probably bigger than anything you'd run into that way. But, hopefully some of these places are able to get preserved.
I've actually been to, I don't know, you've probably heard of Ashmore Estates in Illinois.
Yes.
They did a Ghost Adventures episode on there, and that building was actually going to be knocked down. And the guy who I guess investigated as a kid or whatever, Scott Kelly, he was on Ghost Adventures. He bought the building a couple of years ago for like $20,000 or whatever he did, which is the smartest move you could do. He fixed it up a little bit, made sure that nobody can hurt themselves, and now he rents it out to paranormal investigators for the night. He does during Halloween. He does a haunted house there, and that's one of the most haunted places that I've been to. That's, to answer your question before, that's definitely where the most uncomfortable I've ever felt. I actually got scratched there. I got a picture of it. It's not on the website. That was before I was with After Dark, but 3 scratch marks down my back, and I had a long sleeve shirt on and a vest. There's no way I could have done it or anybody else. That place is very, very bad.
Now, I'm just saying there's and I don't think you can see this because of your location. Let's see. Ken, do you want to go ahead and follow up with some of the things that are coming on in the chat? Because there's some interesting questions.
We have one question that, do you ever wonder, once places are demolished, if the activity still exists? And my only input was that I know there are hotels in Gettysburg that are quote unquote on the field, maybe not part of the actual huge battlefield, but there was fighting, that do report activities. I personally think they do. What do you guys think?
I definitely agree, without a doubt. Just take a look at like the Amityville house that was built over something, and then Indian burial grounds, all that kind of stuff.
Some people are skeptic about that, but I've did a lot of research on that.
That's not the only place, though. There's so many places that have been built over old haunted, asylums, Indian burial grounds.
Just because you take away the building doesn't mean you're going to take away the spirits.
Oh, without
exactly. Have you guys ever tried to talk to the current owner? I know the current owner doesn't want anything to do really with any paranormal. He claims there's nothing going on in that house. Have you guys ever tried to maybe see if he'd let you in?
From what I heard, it's currently up for sale again. I think it's selling for $1.5.
Yep.
Oh yeah, money talks, man. You're not getting in there unless you got at least a memory.
We go there.
I would buy that place and make it a B&B for.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. They should make it kind of museum or something.
You'd make your money back within a couple of years.
We try to go there every October and stuff, just to take pictures of the outside and stuff. The last time we went there last year, it was up for sale. I mean, I've been through like all kinds of real estates on Long Island trying to find which real estate was actually showing the house, and I had absolutely no luck. I mean, I sat for hours and went through pages and pages and went through all different listings of different houses, and I couldn't find any that listed the Amityville house.
You know, that is one location I'd love to investigate, you know. But
I mean, the house, it's beautiful, and I mean, we would just kill to get in there.
It is gorgeous. I mean, you can actually go on, Google that has all the street views, and I mean, you can actually see what it looks like right from the street. I mean, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous home.
Oh, yeah, we actually went to St. Charles Cemetery as well, where the whole DeFeo family is buried. We took pictures at their plot and everything.
Have you ever tried to do EVP sessions there?
Yeah, we did, but we didn't catch anything.
that's nothing.
Yeah, we recently tried. We were my group was down at Prospect Place, and we actually went to the Adamses, their plots, and we didn't catch anything in the cemetery either. However, we did catch quite a bit in the house, and actually, you know, the only thing we caught was a dude in a pickup truck that was tailgating us back to the house. So I mean, I don't think they really appreciated us, you know, even though we had permits and everything. I think it was just kind of a weird thing for them.
Yeah, they don't like that. It's a different world out there, man. They don't like that.
Yeah. Have you guys ever tried to, like, I mean, I don't know. I know Fort Ticonderoga is probably, you know, pretty far from you guys, but have you ever tried to do any of the local, like, or the area forts or any of the revolutionary type stuff? And even if you can't get in it, maybe, like, in the grounds outside it, have you guys ever tried anything like that?
No, not yet.
Not yet. I mean, a couple of years ago, me and my fiance, we went to Gettysburg, and we plan on actually going back next month.
Yeah, we have a lot of cool places in store for the fall. So.
Let me give you a tip. We just did some EVP work in the it's called the Railroad Cut, and it's as you're coming into town from the west, so that would be on Highway 30. You come in on that route. That's the same route that one of the routes that the Confederate Army came in on, and you'll see the big tall statue of Reynolds. It's that field, and we just kind of walked out into the middle of the field, kind of sat down and did some work, and we got some results there. They weren't huge, but I mean they were interesting, and I know that some of the local groups there are getting results there. So just a heads up.
Yeah, that's an I mean, we definitely look forward to going there, like I said, next month.
Yeah, we're planning Eastern State Penitentiary in November as well.
And I definitely want to check out Waverly Hills. 2 hours away from that is Bobby Mackey's. You know.
Yeah, we have a lot of places in store.
We have a lot of places in store, so, you know, all
we were just waiting for the cool weather to come. Because it's not really too comfortable to do investigations in the summertime. At least for me, because I hate bugs, so.
Well, Waverly and Eastern State are both great places. I've investigated Waverly. I have not done a investigation in Eastern State, but have been in the location. It is just an awesome.
You're welcome to join us.
How about Bobby Mackey's? You ever been over there?
Have not been to Bobby Mackey's. It's funny in that we're actually going to do a Waverly show in a couple weeks here. Just the way it turned out, that was one of the first things first places I went to. So it's one of those where some neat things happen, but you kind of, when you're starting out, you don't know what you don't know. So there's things that I kind of discounted as, you know, just being, you know, imagination or, you know, just kind of senses that now looking back on it were probably kind of subtle things that were going on in certain rooms that I wish I would have spent more time in. One of them is, and I brought this up to Luana Kurz a couple weeks ago, and I think she had good activity when she was just there not that long ago. When you go there on the first floor, there's they describe it as the electroshock room. There's a big mural of this guy's like head with like lightning bolts coming down and stuff. That was probably the most active room when we were there, and it's not one again. You know, you always hear about 502 and the operating room and certain places there. That's one that I never really hear anybody else mention, but we had a lot of good experiences in that location. So keep that one in mind.
And what about the Stanley Hotel? How do you feel about the Stanley Hotel? I
have not been there. I would love to be there. It's you know, I'm slowly branching out in my distance. My next farthest travel is going to be Rolling Hills this summer, but I would love to go there. It's obviously we're into airfare over driving, so logistically a little more to get to it, but that's certainly one on my bucket list, certainly one that I want to hit at some time. Now, I know there are some people in the chat room that have been to the Stanley, so anyone wants to
yeah, that's famous, man. That's a good one.
Weigh in on there. And so I'm just checking. Give me a second here. I'm just scrolling back here. There was a question that
we want to get out to the Stanley. My understanding now, it may just be the big group nights that they have, but I thought that they were going to stop doing the whole paranormal thing, but I think that might just be the really big events, which would be a shame in a way, because I mean it's such a sorry for the expression, a target-rich environment. I mean it's so,
we don't really like to do anything without like big groups of people.
Yes, the problem with the Stanley Hotel is you can't, unless you're ready to book out all the rooms, there's going to be other investigators there. Like when Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures go there, they rent out the whole hotel, man, because money talks. They got the money to do it. The show provides them, so they rent out the hotel. But it's not really like that. It's a great place. It's definitely haunted, but...
Yeah, I believe the more people, like, it could contaminate your evidence.
Oh, without a doubt.
Big time.
Yeah, I've got a question for you guys. Have you guys ever tried to, I mean, you obviously know a lot about the history. You probably do a lot of homework like the rest of us do about the locations we're about to go into. Do you guys ever try and reenact anything and see if that spurs activity?
No.
Because I know that we try to do that.
I've tried to use trigger objects, objects that they might have used before. In my experiences, I've never actually reenacted anything.
That is told to be said, though, that does trigger, when you reenact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but... It brings those old, feelings back.
We've actually never done it.
No. Have you ever gotten specific names through EVPs and then checked it out against like the inmate, or I don't even know what you would call them, the patient rosters, and found that you think you found a specific person?
Well, the last time we were here, actually in the morgue, we were doing a spirit box session, and the name Mark came through. But I mean, it's such a common name. I mean, a lot of people have the name Mark. I'm sure there was a lot of people that were, that were residents here that were named Mark.
Yeah,
but that was one of the names that.
I actually went to a farmhouse in Goshen, New York, where this man named Nathaniel White raped and killed about, I think, 6 or 7 girls in this house in Goshen. And, you just walk in there and it's a terrible feeling. But before I went, I did my homework and I wrote down all the girls' names, try to make contact with them. I said their names. And I got unbelievable EVPs, and it was like 12 p.m., 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't even at nighttime. A girl told me I have a nice smile. I tried to talk to one girl in particular that she was only in 8th grade when he killed her. And, I asked her what grade was she finishing, or what grade did she just finish, because it was in the summertime when he did this. And I have an EVP that says I was going into 9th. So it was just direct contact with the spirit.
That's amazing.
And we actually plan to go there after we leave here tonight, so hopefully we catch something.
Do you guys ever try period music, like, from when it was open and, just play it and then stop and see what you get? I mean, see if that, I don't know if they played music for them or not, but I would think that they would have.
It's so funny you say that because the last time I was here, my friend's phone rang, and it was some, today's hits, whatever ringtone, and we started getting hits on the spirit box, like, do you like music? He started playing it. And the time before that, or 2 times before that I was here, I was on the 2nd floor, and I was thinking of, like, maybe, of a couple songs in that time era, whatever it was. And just, I don't know, for some reason the song Run Around Sue came in my mind, and I started singing it. Like, I keep away from a run around, and then I, like, opened up the spirit box, and without a doubt, like, a girl came through and said Sue. She finished the song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are at the 10 o'clock hour here on the East Coast, so time to take a very short break. I'm going to play one song here. It'll be about 5 minutes. That'll let everyone get a chance to do a bio break, get something to drink, whatever you need to do. So we will be back with After Dark Investigators in just a little bit. You are listening to Sunday Night Dead.
She plays a mountain to a smile and offers that he
to Sunday Night Dead. I played that last little promo just for the After Dark folks, since I knew they were kind of hanging out in a dark morgue. Thought that would be a good one to play for them, the good old roommate. The number to call in if you'd like to speak to After Dark or Ken and myself, area code 646-929-2384. And as always, you can log on to chat and send in any questions, and we will go ahead and forward them on. Again, we are talking about a number of interesting locations here in the New York area. Primarily, Letchworth Village is the one we've been talking about the most, but certainly open to talk about other topics as well. I'm going to bring on right now Ken, Tommy, Athena, and Andrew. How's everybody doing?
Going on,
Very
right?
good.
Not possessed, so that's good enough for me.
I'm going to start off with this because I want to make sure we get to this before we run out of time, because you are some of the perfect people for this discussion. We mentioned earlier, I think it was Andrew that was talking earlier about with the spirit box, the radio stations and the interference, and you hear that all the time. That these aren't EVPs you're getting. You're picking up cell phone conversations. You're picking up radio stations, things along those lines. And one experiment that I think would be a great way to kind of determine to what degree that is happening is to, in a very congested area like New York City, go ahead and if you have an EVP session just in a regular building or room, and if you get comparable responses, that would be a little more indicative than not getting anything at all. I mean, where I'm going at on this is, and I just use this kind of as an analogy, but, if it's just merely signals that we're picking up, then Times Square should be one of the most busiest paranormal locations, and you should be able to set up there and get, not just a bunch of voices garbled by recording, but you get something similar to what you would get at a Waverly or a Letchworth Village, if indeed all you're picking up is signals, which I personally don't think is the case, but again, just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that. Have you ever run like a baseline just in a general area?
Yeah, I mean, I live in the Bronx, New York, so I've tried it many times in my own house, and, you don't get anything relating to anything. You ask questions, and you'll get radio frequencies. It doesn't make any sense because it's sweeping backwards. It's not the same. It's the same thing, really, as, I don't know if you're familiar with, like, an ovilus. An ovilus is basically an electronic dictionary. It holds words. If you have it, in an unhaunted place, quote unquote unhaunted, whatever, it'll say things, but it won't relate to anything. Whereas if you take it, like I went to Prospect Place with my ovilus, the spirit box, it just starts saying things that like it shouldn't be saying because it's so relevant to the situation at hand. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and I mean I think you got to look at. I think it was Ken that mentioned it earlier about just the probability. If you're going to go ahead and pluck a random word out of a phone conversation or, a radio broadcast, what are the odds of plucking the answer that you get? Again, depending on how specific. If you're getting a yes or no, that's not as much as, 8th grade, or when that one audio you have is where they're counting 1, 2, 3, and then 4 being the next one to come through, and also the only number to come through. So it's, kind of looking in the broader context, some of these things seem more probable to happen than others. But I was really kind of curious about that because you're in an ideal location to pick up some of these baselines if indeed it is just cell phone chatter. I mean, I've run recorders.
We got to interrupt you. We're getting thumps coming from above us.
It sounds like footsteps right now.
And there's nobody else in the building with us.
Awesome. Well, don't if you want to. Somebody want to go? If you normally would go check that out, let us know, and just keep us in the loop here as to what you're hearing. That's awesome.
Right now, I mean, we're in the morgue with all our equipment set up.
Yeah, so we can't really go anywhere
because it is an abandoned building. If it's someplace we rented it out, but we are hearing footsteps.
Yeah, and we got the voice recorder going and everything. So.
Awesome.
We did the building before we even started this conversation, and nobody was here, and we're at the only entrance you could get in. So I've heard them before, man.
Yeah, we've heard them plenty of times. pacing, a lot of pacing back and forth.
Now, how many floors in the building that you're in right now?
It's this floor and 2 above us.
Okay. So, and how many, just the whole, I've seen lots of pictures of the location, but about how many, it looks like it's a pretty large complex. About how many buildings in the location there?
Oh, man, there's countless amount of buildings. Like, they've knocked down a few, I think, but there are so many. There's at least, I'd say, 50 to 60 buildings. And then there's even some across the street that they actually use today. Like, one is a courthouse. They actually use some of the buildings.
One of them is a golf course as well, I think.
Yeah. But altogether, it says it online, it's between 50 and 80, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Have you guys ever tried to do daytime work in any of the other buildings?
What's that?
Have you ever tried to do any daytime work in any of the other buildings?
Not so much daytime work, no.
I've done a lot of daytime work. I've been here a lot. My dad has a house not too far from here, so whenever I come up this way, I always come during the day. But it's just I've caught stuff here, maybe even more stuff during the day than at nighttime. This place is always active. I've been to multiple buildings. I believe that there's only two buildings in this facility that are actually quote unquote like haunted. I mean, maybe not. I've just never gotten anything in the other buildings, but these 2 buildings are
we're in the older medical building. There's another one that's down the road that's supposedly the newer medical building, and we've been in there once, and it's in a lot worse shape than this one is. And we tried to find the morgue in that building, but we couldn't find it. And I mean, there's still formaldehyde bottles on the shelves and everything.
Now, do you ever get the feeling that I don't know with psych wards if it would work the same way, just based on we don't know really what happens after you pass. I mean, do you regain, are all of your ailments, still with you, or are they cured, or, whatever, are they no longer an issue? But do you ever feel like something may follow you from location to location? Because the reason I ask that is we were at a location, and I specifically asked, how did you get here? And the answer we got was the name of one of my investigators who was there. So it made us wonder, well, did it follow her here? We started wondering. And then we got another EVP that basically said one of them thought I was cute. And have you ever had anything like that happen to you?
Just had something happen on us.
Yeah, something just moved as you were talking. But to answer your question, yeah, like there's no limit to EVPs really. Like they talk about whatever is on their mind. When I went to that house in Goshen that I was talking about before, one of the girls that got murdered there told me I had a nice smile. She I don't know.
Do you ever think some of them follow you from location to location?
Me personally, I've never felt that. But I believe it can happen. Definitely. Things can follow you home, follow you to other locations. They could definitely stick onto you. You're supposed to really say a prayer before you go in and out and just tell things that they can't stay with you or in any of your devices. I've heard that they could actually stick inside of recorders and any electronic devices.
Yes. They also say that before you enter your home, to walk in backwards.
That was like something I read online, and we've been doing it ever since, and we haven't had any problems. But prior to that, we never did anything, and we've had things follow us home before, and we've had strange things go on in the middle of the night that never happened before we started doing any of this. But
Absolutely.
Since the backwards walk-in, everything's been okay at home.
But we do quite an extensive protection type of I wouldn't call it a ceremony, but a ritual, I guess, prior to and after the investigation. Now, other people that I know who may or may not be in the chat room do nothing, and they've never had, as far as I know, they've never had anything serious befall them. But for myself, I just feel for myself that it's just the right thing to do.
Oh, definitely. I mean, just for safety precautions, you want to, because you don't know what's following you. It could be good, it could be evil, it could be demonic. You don't want anything like that. But yeah, it ruins some people's lives. You read the stories online, you watch TV shows. It's nothing to play around with. You definitely should take precautions. But, there's some places I go to that I don't, and I should, but.
I mean, it's happened to us before, so.
I have a question about obelisks. I have a question about your obelisk. I've had this experience with ours, and actually, I'm not I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about the phone app obelisk because it just seems like so wrong, and it doesn't seem like it would be right. And every time I say that, we have something weird happen with it. Like, I'll try it out for like 20 minutes and see what we get. 20, 30 minutes, and I'll say, all right, I want a number. And sometimes I get it and sometimes I don't. But we've had 3 or 4 incidents where we'll have an EVP, and there will be less than a second of time, and then the obelisk will say the same thing. Have you guys ever, I don't know what you guys think about phone apps. I'm kind of on the fence about them just because those 3 or 4 times made me go, well, how in the hell did that just happen?
Oh yeah,
how do you guys
have the app on my iPad, and I've never I never really use it just because it's such a pain to carry around an iPad because you have so many things you're carrying, And I was also on the fence about it. I never, how can an app, really work like that? But the one time that it made me really change my belief about that is when I went to Prospect Place that you were talking about earlier in Ohio, and it was just me and one of my buddies, and we were using the app, and it just kept repeating one of the girls' names, that one of the Adams. I think her name was Mary or Maria, whatever her name was. It kept saying that name, and then we ordered Domino's. It was still early, we ordered Domino's. We were waiting for our food. And about a half hour after we ordered it, it said food. And me and my friend were like, no way, whatever. And as soon, at the precision timing of the delivery boy knocking on the door, it said arrive. So it said food first. We were like, no way. A couple seconds later, we hear a knock at the door, and it said arrived. We go and get the food. I invite the spirits down to eat with us. As we're about to take our first bite, the obelisk says grace, as in say grace. You know what I mean?
Right.
I have a story that doesn't have to do with the obelisk, but it's pretty similar, and it took place here as well in the dentist's office. We were doing an EVP session on one of our voice recorders. Now, Tommy was holding the voice recorder that was recording at the time. I was holding one that was in my pocket at the time, and it was off, and I was filming. When I went to go take the voice recorder out of my pocket, mind you, the voice recorder was off. The switch was down on off, and I took it out of my pocket. I looked down at the screen to go turn it on. Before I got the chance to turn it on, in capital letters, clear, it said, see you. And before I could take a picture of it, before I could show it to anybody, it disappeared off the screen. And the voice recorder was off.
Oh, I hate that. That's the one thing I really wish digital, the app I've got for the obelisk is Digital Dowsing, who makes, of course, the big one. And the one thing I can say is I wish they would have an emailable list because it just scrolls up and you can't scroll back, and it's kind of like, I wish they would make it emailable so you could just finally get the words because I always try to repeat them into the recorder, but sometimes they come fast.
Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe I have a newer version of it, or maybe the iPad app is differently set up. But there's actually a button on my iPad where you could press it, and it says all the previous words that it's ever said. You can't do anything with them. You could take a picture of it on a phone. You can't email them or anything. But it keeps a record of everything it's ever said.
Well, it looks like I've got a reason to buy another iPad.
I was going to say, as far as the phone things and all those things go, I kind of consider myself an experimentalist on these things, so I will include them in the whole mix of what I'm working with, but I, in general, won't take that on its own as evidence of anything. I always look for multiple things anyway, and we did have a weird, this was at South Pittsburgh Hospital, we had, we heard footsteps, and then went into this one room, and we didn't know what the room was at the time. And, again, very heavy feeling, very odd things in here. And we got 2 names. I want to say it was Frank and Helen. And we were getting things. Now, again, it could be programming, just to random get in. I'm just going to say this is odd, but we got the same words in this room on 2 different occasions being in this room. We were getting Frank, Ellen, blood, screaming, flowers, and again, this is a hospital. we asked for the year, and I believe we got like 74.
Wow.
And so basically, we didn't know what the room was, and so we followed up the next morning, and we're talking to the people at South Pittsburgh, and they told us that was one of the bereavement rooms. So, one of the spots would you go to the bereavement room. So it was just very, very interesting what was going on there. Now, I consider that in kind of the list of just odd things, because other than getting high EMF, hearing those footsteps going into the room, and then getting those words, we didn't get anything audio-wise. If I got some guy's voice saying Helen at the same time, or around the similar things, that certainly would have more weight to it. But it was just an odd experience. So I still run them anyway from time to time, just to kind of see how things correlate. The thing I don't like is obviously you can get interference with the K2s when you do it, so it's kind of hit or miss as to what I kind of do either or with those two pieces there. But I think with all these different things, the flashlights, all those different stuff, just I keep it in the mix. I wouldn't make a definitive decision based on a flashlight or the phone app, but if
it's always good. You have to have
more
than one piece of evidence. You should carry around 2 K2 meters and just have them both running. If one goes off in the same spot as the other one is not, then there's something not abnormal. It's something abnormal. It's always you need more than one piece of evidence.
Well, that was the cool thing that I found about the app, is that we had an EVP that was caught on 2 different devices, and we kept getting this name Beth. No one at the time knew who the heck Beth was. And we found out, as it turned out, we were actually able to contact her. She came to the next one, and we got her a message that had been waiting for 40 years for her. But at any rate, we kept getting Beth this, Beth that, and what we had was we had call Beth, and immediately the phone app went Beth. And then we checked the Handycam tape, and we had that same EVP call Beth and Beth. So we felt pretty comfortable with that. In the same instance, we found out that the furnace was setting the K2 off. So we didn't include that in the mix because it just, it wasn't, when in doubt, we threw it out. So the other one was interesting that we kept getting EVPs and then the word was repeated. So it was just kind of weird.
And that's the type of stuff that will make non-believers believe. You don't know how many of my friends think I'm crazy for doing this kind of stuff, and then I present evidence and more than one piece of evidence, and they're just, they're absolutely non-believers, and they don't even know what to say about it. There's just stuff that's unexplainable that happens in these kind of places.
Hey, well, I got a question from the chat room here. This is actually going back a little while, from John, about the whole, your thoughts on the whole kind of position on kind of sneaking into places and the kind of the risks versus the rewards, and the question was, basically, do you think it's worth the possible risks that you would encounter on entering into a place unauthorized? And so
Us, absolutely, because this is what we love to do. We're fully aware of the consequences and what could happen if we're caught. But we're not, we're paranormal investigators, but we enjoy doing urban exploration as well. And, urban exploration does consist in trespassing, and we believe that these abandoned asylums do carry the most energy, And we're fully aware we don't promote trespassing in any way. We don't tell anybody, if they ask questions, I always let them know, like, it is trespassing, and, you could get caught by cops, you could get arrested, you could get fined, and we're fully aware of that. But, it's what we love to do.
Do your homework, too. That's another thing you have to. A lot of, blogs and sites will have, how often cops do patrol. Like, if you look up Letchworth, I found, why I came here so many times is because not too many people are arrested and fined, because during the day the grounds are actually a dog walking park, so people are allowed on the grounds during the day, and then at nighttime, past a certain time you're not. But do your homework on some places. You'll find out if there's a lot of cops around and whatnot, but it's definitely risky,
We don't promote trespassing in any way whatsoever.
And I do, where I would not do this thing myself. We mentioned earlier the opacity site. The one thing I like about what that guy does, and he's not a he doesn't do anything paranormal, and he actually has on the site that he hasn't really experienced anything. But he goes in and photographs a lot of these places and documents, a lot of the area things before they get knocked down. So, there's some very nice photo albums there of.
Oh yeah, it's a great website. I'm on that website like almost every other day.
Byberry, and then there's actually it's not a major one on there, but near my hometown was Bethlehem Steel, which a lot of that got knocked down. He was in there and got pictures of it inside there. A lot of these psychiatric hospitals we talk about here, and also in Europe, he gets, and it's just very interesting to see how these look and kind of document a type of architecture and just a whole type of facility. Even though it has sad histories to it, it's still. A lot of it you got to look back at the time as to what they were trying to do. A lot of these things weren't done. Obviously, they were bad people all the way around, but it wasn't designed with necessarily evil intent. Some of these places, at least in the 1800s and things, the people that were getting brought there were prior to that, because of the shame factor that you mentioned earlier, were either being chained up in a basement or chained up in an attic of a house, and so it's. You kind of learn as you go, but it wasn't entirely being done to torture or mistreat people. They were doing what they thought was the right things at the time. In some cases, obviously, there's always
a different world. It's back then, and they didn't know. They say they didn't know any better. Some places are worse than others, but that's why, me personally, I love coming to these sorts of places where there is a lot of bad history behind it, because. Of course, there is evil here, but there is also a lot of good that they never had a chance to, express here. And you really feel like, you feel weird when you're here, you feel weird when you leave, but overall, you feel good. Maybe, you helped, you kept somebody company. They're trapped here, forever. Even if the building's knocked down, this is where they're going to stay. And, maybe you made their night by coming here, and just talking to them for a little bit.
So I was just going to follow up on that, so that... your opinion, you believe that they are stuck there, or do they choose out of just familiarity to stay there?
Personally, I feel that
it could be both.
It could be both. It could go both ways. I feel like they are stuck, some of them, and then I feel like the evil spirits want to be here, and the good spirits would be trapped here.
Okay.
It all depends on the situation and what happened to that person during their time here.
And make sure you do your homework, because evil spirits and demonic possessions and demonic spirits are nothing to play around with. They can fool you. They can pretend to be good. I've gotten EVPs. Yeah, they manipulate you. They manipulate the audio. They, pretend to be little girls. I was working on a case not too long ago that, this house was being... something was in it, and it was pretending to be a little girl, and it wasn't. It could take different forms and shapes and voices, so it's definitely not something to play around with.
Yeah, we approach everything as though it's the worst case scenario, because you really don't. We don't even for sure know these are spirits we're talking to. Really, when you break it down, we don't know for sure. There's no 100% fact there, so we're always very cautious as well.
Yeah, you don't know. I got in. We got into a discussion on this a while ago, but by their nature, getting kind of just into the realm of demons, at least the way that they are described, whatever they are, and there's obviously varying opinions on that. They are by their nature deceptive. So when people say, "Oh, well, I've never run into one," how do you know for sure? And usually it comes down to, well, my expectation is this is going to be very aggressive and not care for me. Well, if one of their main traits is that they're good at tricking people, they aren't necessarily, and it doesn't mean that every one that's out there is going to, just run around and attack every person they come across. We don't know. We don't know a lot of the, it's all theory. This whole field really is all different theories, and so that's very interesting. Yeah, I've seen some people do some unbelievable things when they felt they were dealing with a child. So it's really kind of
That's one of the biggest controversies in the paranormal field, because a lot of people don't believe in child spirits, and people believe that any child spirit is just a demon pretending, and it's really not something to play around with. You don't want to do that. A demon has nothing, like a demon is basically evil, you know, and if you go into a place and start asking them to touch you because you think it's a kid and it's really a demon, they have nothing better to do. They will take over you. They will take your soul. They will follow you home and ruin your life. It's not something that you want to play around with.
And what makes it interesting is, and at least this is just my theory here, is you got, more than likely, demonic entities will try to act like people. And then you have the flip side, where I've seen, particularly in one of the asylums I go to, where every once in a while, somebody will record or have, a spirit box, and they'll get, devil or something come through, and they all freak. And I'm convinced it's, a bunch of spirits up there just getting a total kick out of, freaking these people out for entertainment. And so it's just, some guy saying, so tell us your name, and go, devil, just to see him, all flip out.
Freak
so
out?
You got kind of you got the demons trying to pretend they're people, and you got the people trying to pretend they're demons, and who knows what you're dealing with.
Yeah, you never know, man. That's one of the risks. That's just like breaking into a place, It's a risk of getting arrested. The same thing, you're playing with fire, so be careful when you go.
Absolutely. Curious here, too. Well, first of all, I did hear some talking in the background there. I wasn't sure. You got something else going on there? Any more noises or anything?
Yeah, that was me. I felt like something touched my leg, and for the past about half hour now, I'm feeling really, really depressed, man. Like, to the point where I want to get out of here. I need to walk away for a few minutes.
Yep.
I'm going to do this as an experiment. You have recorders running, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if there's anyone there at Letchworth with Tommy, Athena, and Andrew that would like to say anything, we have a whole bunch of people listening to you right now. We're going to be quiet here for just 10 seconds, and if you would like to say something, we have recorders and things and would be able to hear you, since we are talking about your building, your location. If you'd like to let us know who you are, feel free to let us know now.
If anybody's in this morgue, can you please talk to us and the members of Dead Talk? All right.
So, I'm just curious. We'll see if, the odds are probably really, really slim, but you got to let me know if you ended up having a fourth person chime in there on things. I found, and I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Tommy's just really not doing okay right now. He doesn't feel too well. I'm gonna play the recording back real quick and see if we got anything.
Okay.
If anybody's in this morgue, can you please talk to us and the members of Dead Talk? Oh. Whoa.
What was that? What was that?
Oh, boy.
Something just went right fucking through me.
Turn up the curse.
Hold on a minute.
Okay.
You all right, Tom? As soon as the recorder stopped playing, I didn't hear anything, but Tommy just really felt something go through him. He's got goosebumps.
Well, you let me know what's going on there. You guys, you take care of your own safety and your own things that are going on there and stuff. So, depending on what's going on with him and stuff, you just.
But yeah, though, this is what we do.
I got the chills, man. I got the chills. I feel like something
You getting a temp drop in there at all?
Nothing on the K2. We had a millimeter. It keeps going up and down, man, the whole time.
Yeah, your hands are shaking.
Tommy's shaking, but no temperature drop right now. It was at a steady 62 when we first got here. Now it's at a steady 59. It keeps going up and down.
Don't.
Now it's going up. It's going up back up to 62. We keep getting this. This building is not something to play around with. All right, we're okay for now.
Okay. Just asking if do you have any? Is he clammy at all? I think somebody had asked in the chat room if possibly he was low on blood sugar or anything.
No, he doesn't. No.
No, nothing like that.
Okay. Hearing any of the footsteps or anything?
No, we haven't heard it since we told you. You know, it's very on and off in this place, man. You hear light footsteps. It's always different, too. You know, it's never the same thing. You'll never get the same.
Like, you'll hear a constant pacing, and you'll hear stomping, and then it'll just stop. And then it'll start up again.
And one thing I've realized about this building is that it just feeds off fear. I'm personally, like, you know, we do this all the time, so we're not scared. But every time I bring somebody from not in the group, and they're really scared, we always get more evidence than when it's just us three. It really feeds off fear, and that's what makes me believe that something is, like, evil in here.
It's definitely getting a little colder in here, so I'm starting to feel it now.
Okay. Well, what I was going to ask before that happened, and so I'm just certainly interrupt me if anything goes on there and stuff. But I'm curious about the kind of after dark bucket list here. So I guess we'll kind of start with Andrew. What would be the next? I guess kind of realistic location, and then kind of no limits location. What would be the two spots you'd like to check out?
Well, my top two would definitely be Bobby Mackey's, number one. 2 hours away from that, Waverly Hills. And I'm trying to think of another realistic one. Probably back to Ashmore Estates in Illinois, just because I had, a few bad experiences there, maybe with another person, so it's not so freaking scary, because we only had 2 people, and it was one of my first investigations, but I would definitely like to go back there. And for no limitations, without a doubt, it would be Preveglia in Italy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, definitely, because that place has a lot of history to it. I'm very interested. My family's from Italy, and Venice, actually. It's right off of Venice, so I would definitely love to go there. And then there was that hotel that I don't know if it's knocked down yet in Nevada, that Ghost Adventures, their first documentary. I would love to go there. I heard it's off limits though, but that's definitely.
Oh, I know what. Yeah, I get a couple of those because I'm not familiar with the West. I get a couple of those mixed up the names on them, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that's definitely. If it's not knocked down, I would love to do that. I would pay any amount of money to go there, man. That's definitely, from the documentary, it's one of the most haunted places in the world. I've never seen anything like that.
How about you, Athena?
Me would definitely be Bobby Mackey's, Rolling Hills, and Waverly Hills. And for no limitations, it would definitely be, because I'm like unbelievably obsessed with the Amityville Horror, it would definitely be to spend a night in the Amityville house.
Good one. Good.
Awesome. How's Tommy doing there? Is he
getting some air, I think.
Yeah, Tommy went to get some air.
Okay. Good deal. So what's up next for you guys? You got anything lined up soon? Investigation?
We're definitely planning in November to go to Eastern State. We would have went this month, but they're starting the Halloween thing there, so they're not doing any private investigations there until after November 15th. So that's definitely on our list.
Yep, and I plan definitely to go to Bobby Mackey's without a doubt within the next year.
Hopefully, before the year's over.
Yeah, we're planning on it too. It's sounds like an awesome place.
Yeah, Ken, any other questions or?
Yeah, I always ask when you're probably going to roll your eyes, you probably know what's coming. So I guess it's not fair because Tommy's not there right now, but maybe that's the best way to do it, right? So Athena and Andrew, what would you say is the funniest or most embarrassing thing that has happened to you guys while you're on an investigation, and who was it and what was it?
You want to go first?
Me, I'm very clumsy, so I have a tendency to trip and fall a lot. But the first time that we came here, I actually, the grass was very, very high, and I'm very, very short. So So I ended up tripping over a metal, I don't even know what it was, but I tripped and I fell, and it was pretty embarrassing. I mean, every time we come to one of these places, I always have to lay in one of the slabs in the morgue. And the last time we came here, I tried to lay in the slab, and I picked my head up too soon, and, you know, I hit my head pretty hard on the slab above me. But, yeah, I'm just pretty clumsy. I always trip and fall in these types of places, but luckily I never got, like, severely hurt.
For me, I don't recall any really embarrassing moments. I guess the most embarrassing thing I've encountered is encounters with cops, and they ask you what you're doing, and you say, you know, I always tell the truth because I have nothing to hide. I don't have anything, you know, whatever. I just tell them ghost hunting, and they just laugh and tell me that I'm crazy.
And the first time we came here, before Andrew was a part of our team, we were in the morgue, and, you know, we were conducting the EVP, and a cop actually came into the building and got us. And, you know, he actually turned out to be one of those cops that was really cool. He actually gave us a tour, and he told us all about the brains in the jars and how he saw them when he first started patrolling here. And, you know, he was like, there's no effing ghosts here. You guys got to get out of here. There's nothing but asbestos and stuff like that. But, I mean, that's pretty much it for embarrassing.
Yeah, just to be fair, for me, I always hand one of my investigators that's running a lead up to a camera. I always hand them the wrong end of the damn cable. I don't know how I do it, but and they'll get like 40 feet away. I'm like, wait. So that's usually my gig.
That's your mental block. Like I'm not even going to go there today. Like John and Katie's group team name, which I always get wrong. So we all have these kind of mental blocks. My most embarrassing one, and some people have heard this one before. My closest thing to a dude run moment, but it was just basically my heart stopped beating for about a second. I didn't yell or anything. I just kind of all tensed up. Creepiest place I've ever been. It was a private investigation, and just horror movie like claims in this place. Just really bizarre, creepy claims, and some of them involved around this jet black figure that would be seen. So I mean, you know, all the lights would be on, and all of a sudden this guy that would be like solid black would just kind of stand up and walk around. And so we're getting one of the stories, and I didn't know that the owners had a cat. The owners had a black cat, and I'm standing next to this bed, and they're telling this story, and all of a sudden, I mean, the place itself just felt heavy, and extremely uncomfortable. And the cat comes out towards my foot. And, I mean, it was almost like it did it deliberate. It just kind of, like, did this slow, its head and its, so it was bigger than just a paw. Its head and its paw kind of coming out on top of my foot. And so I'm hearing this story about this black figure, then I see this black object come out from under the bed. My heart stopped for, like, a second, and then I realized it was a cat. And so I just, like, I exhaled and kind of leaned against the wall going, I can't believe that. But, you know, my whole team was across the bed from me, so they all got to see my face, which fortunately wasn't on tape. But, again, that was my my most embarrassing moment as far as...
That's a good one. I like that one.
I actually do have I'm remiss, Katie Hewitt, who's in the chat, actually asked this earlier, and we got caught up in something that went in a different direction. But she was wondering, where in North Jersey have you guys been?
That's the one in Essex County.
Yeah,
that's Essex County, Overbrook.
Yeah, Cedar Grove, New Jersey.
They've done it on Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, it was on Ghost Adventures, but they didn't give the name of it. But it's, if anybody wants to know, it's the location that they titled Northern New Jersey Asylum.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that place, I've never been there, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
real hot.
Always calling
yeah, because, I mean, there's a lot of stupid people that set fires, and a lot of people, go in there and they try to steal copper out of the hallways and stuff. So, I mean, it's heavily patrolled.
Interesting. So, how many times have you been to Letchworth then? Sounds like you've been pretty familiar with that place.
Dozens of times, dozens. It really has become like our second home. It's like our home away from home, actually.
Do you feel like it calls you, like you're compelled to go there?
No.
Yeah, well, on the episode of Ghost Adventures, one of the kids that they interviewed did say that they become addicted. And I mean, this place is like, it is addicting. I mean, I get like, I could come here like once a week. You know, it is very addicting.
Last week I came here, you know, I got some awesome evidence. I don't know, you know, if it's the awesome evidence that you just catch here every time you come or it's something else, but the next day I wound up coming back because, you know, I'm not really too far from here. And, you know, I just had an urge to come back. I don't know whether it was just so, like, cool at the time that I got cool evidence or something was just pulling me back, you know. It's just something.
It definitely gets your
theory.
adrenaline pumping for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the same thing that happened to us last weekend. Like I said, you know, I've always walked up on doors that I know I closed and they're open or windows or something. And we were in we found a couple. We were up in the Knights Templar Temple, and we had closed the door. We shook it. We checked the latch. I mean, we made sure it was all the way across because it's an older door. And we pulled on it and made sure it was closed because we didn't want anyone disturbing us. And we started our thing. We kept hearing these little knocks. And about the third knock, I finally shined my flashlight over there, and I mean, it wasn't like fast enough to make a slam, but it was like if you would come in the door, you know, if you just walk in the door, it just opened on its own, and immediately Jeremy from APS said, "Hello, is that Mr. Dennis?" And the K2, you know, boom. So it must have been Mr. Dennis. But but it was the weirdest thing. I've never seen one open on me, like, right in front of me in 10 years. I mean, it was the coolest damn thing. I mean, I've seen apparitions and stuff, but that's cool. That's very cool. But
Ghost hunters whole lives looking for evidence like that, you know, actually physical movement of the objects and whatnot, you know.
I actually started to get up to run and grab the camera to turn it and catch it, but I knew I couldn't make it across the room.
Yeah, I feel you, definitely. But
hey, I just want to make sure we have enough time here. Please, for the listeners out there, I did post a lot of the links in the chat room, but if you guys could please let our audience know how they can get in touch with you, any website addresses, any way to get in touch with your team or be able to follow some of the things that you're doing out there.
We don't have an actual website up yet, but we're working on it. But you could find us on Facebook. Just search After Dark Investigators. And we have a YouTube. All our links are on the Facebook page. So our YouTube videos and everything. Just go. Yeah, we have our phone numbers up there as well. If anybody wants to contact us.
Awesome. And again, these titles are in jest, but my co-host, the certified hardest-working paranormal expert with a PhD in insightfulness, Ken Szyminski. If people would like to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
We have our main website, which is www.portalparanormalsociety.com, and we're also on Facebook and Twitter, so you can reach us any number of ways.
And I'll go ahead and give everybody my information as well, and I'll be a pompous ass and give my self-proclaimed title, Certified Paranormal Genius with a PhD in Excellence from the Paranormal Pantheon, Matthew Slozer. I am on Facebook. Also, you can follow the Sunday Night Dead Facebook page, which I have to add, I almost forgot, our weekly drawing in our T-shirt contest. This week's semifinalist is Shannon Beaudry, so we now have it down to Sean Jacobs, Copperhead, and Shannon Beaudry, with 2 more to come into the mix. Also on Facebook, Slozer Paranormal Research and Autumn Moon Paranormal. So that's how you can get in touch with any of us out there. Any other questions quick in the chat room or from Ken, or any questions from all the After Dark folks?
I'm feeling better now, buddy.
Yeah, Tommy's feeling better.
Good. You're back. Okay. So, Tom, just real quick, anything odd happened before that, or anything you can remember as far as like what you guys were talking about or what we were talking about at the time that could be related to just looking for any type of correlation between kind of feeling sick and what was going on at the time?
I mean, I feel like a weight was lifted off my chest. Like I feel like normal again.
It's fluttered on your leg?
Like it's something that's like from my leg and it went straight up to my chest. And then I just started suddenly like drifting away. I started walking away with my millimeter, see if I can get any readings. I was getting a couple of spikes, and I feel better now.
It always happens when you least expect it.
Yeah, if anybody's in the New York area that would like to join us on an investigation, we're always willing to bring people with us.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, I have really enjoyed having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. It's our pleasure. If you ever need us again, we're always around, man.
I'd love to have you back on, and absolutely keep in touch with me. I would love to hear if you end up picking up anything, particularly anybody chiming in on this radio show. That would be awesome to have, and we'd love to have that back on the show. So we would definitely look forward to having you back on. So again,
cool, man. Yeah, we're about to do an investigation now, so we'll try to get one of the spirits in here to maybe say your full name or something.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted, definitely.
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome. You get a bunch of stuff. We'll do a Letchworth show. All right, great. Thank you so much, everybody. After Dark Investigations. Good night. All right, Ken, how are you?
Doing good.
So they've been to the whole urban investigation thing aside, they've been to some pretty interesting areas that I would love to get into. So
yeah, definitely agree with everything you said. I mean, it's it's nice to get other viewpoints, and I mean, just even broadcasting, from a reputed location. I think that would be awesome. I'd love to do that from the Howe Opera House over here, by me. That would be cool.
Sad thing is because of real estate so high in the area that they're located in, I'm sure it's going to be very difficult to save a lot of those locations. So so hopefully people can get in and get things documented the best they can. And I do agree that it probably is there'll be things even after places get knocked down, but obviously your whole perspective of where things are happening obviously is going to be much more difficult. So.
Well, right, it's on the third floor of a condo, and, it's just that whole thing. It's kind of like, well, you have someone walk through one wall and through another, and that's all you know about it. You don't realize that that floor used to be the surgical floor, or, whatever.
Exactly. Well, it was great having you on again. We'll definitely have you on again in the future as a
that's awesome. I love doing it.
Co-host here. Always enjoy it, and well, it always goes. So I say it's a good show when the time flies, and at least for me here, the time has flown once again. So again, I would like to thank the After Dark team, Tommy, Athena, and Andrew, and my co-host Ken Szymanski from Portal Paranormal in Michigan, and most of all of you out there for tuning in this week. Next week we have Timothy Smith and Penhurst Asylum, so that'll be good. It's a very similar location that we'll be talking about, so look forward to that. Everybody join us again, 9 o'clock next Sunday night. Have a great week, everyone.